All right, Planeswalkers, all will be one. Finally here with the new Phyrexia set. Excited to break things down as it's at our doorstep right now, right here for you as well. So we got a full release guide. The things that we will be covering here are the mechanics. We'll go through the cards. We'll do drafting and sealed, archetypes to keep in mind, and then some potential standard impacts because we heavily cover that and all the other formats as well in our Friday Night Meta Weekly series. I highly recommend to stay in touch and check those out as well. Last but not least, we'll pull this all back together for you. Now, we do have all these things available to you down below in the timestamps. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, as always. Appreciate your support. Thank you for the likes, and thank you to the members, as always. Other great ways to stay up to date here on the channel because we have a ton of things coming your way here, as we always do. Now, if you happen to have a question, comment throughout, you let me know. On top of that, feel free to come swing by the Discord server as always. Great community there as well and super helpful. All right, so here's what we got going on. Like I said, we're going to dive into the new set here. All will be one, Phyrexia. And the biggest pieces here first to start are the mechanics. So we do have some new mechanics. We have some things that are returning. The first one here is Toxic. Again, I've shown these on the shorts, so make sure you can check those out. A lot of fun, great ways to stay connected as well. But Toxic is a new keyword ability found on several Phyrexian creatures in the set, including this one here, Paladin of Predation. Now, essentially what this is, the number after the Toxic keyword, these poison counters are handed out in addition to the damage being dealt. So a little bit different than the traditional poison. So the damage wasn't going through, they were just receiving the poison counters. Here, you're getting the damage and the poison counters. And again, if you get 10 poison counters, boom, game over. Now, there's also enablers here with poison counters this time around, spinning us into the next mechanic, Corrupted. Yes, that is right. So the way Corrupted works is it's got this trigger ability here, Corrupted. Generally, if your opponents have 3 or more poison counters already, something is going to happen. It makes cards stronger. Here you go. If that opponent has 3 or more poison counters, in this case, for the Seed Core Land Sphere, target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, like we said. So that is a key piece. Grelev's Hive, I probably butchered that, has a different one as well. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control with Toxic now have a lifelink as well. A massive enabler there, which is very, very important. Now we have Formyridin. So in the Formyridin, essentially these are artifact equipments that are coming in. We have the Formyridin mechanic. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. So you're going to have a 2/2 that's immediately going to be equipped with these artifact equipments. Making a creature and using and leveraging your artifact is going to be a key component here in the new set. Now we also have oil counters. Oil counters is a new big one here. They aren't a keyword ability and they have no inherent rules, meaning they play a key role in Phyrexia's operation though. Some cards such as Herberask's Forge put oil counters on themselves and then use those counters for various effects. So in this case, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on the Forge, then create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on the Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. A huge enabler there with this particular artifact. On top of that, as you know and realize, it is not legendary. So you can have a bunch of these going, which is going to be very, very cool. Maybe great in a burn deck or something like that, for example, or control. Next, we have Proliferate. So again, this one's coming back from the original Mirrodin sets. And here, a keyword in action set is no surprise. There are oil counters, poison counters, obviously planeswalkers, all those fun things as well. In this one here, we see with Experimental Augury, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, the rest in the bottom of your library, and then Proliferate. Boom, same thing, +1/+1 counters, all kinds of stuff here. So those are all the key mechanics here in the new set. Phyrexia, all will be one. Certainly excited about this and to put it to the test. So let's go ahead now and move over to the cards. So this is going to be very, very important for us in terms of understanding a couple of different components. And I'm going to go through these rather quickly just so you can see them. Primarily with white, you're going to have Phyrexians. You got angels, you got clerics. Certainly we have some soldiers, again, making way in there. So it's a key hint there Keep those things in mind. Lots of horrors, planeswalkers, Elshnorn, again, the Mother of Machines back. This is an extraordinarily powerful card. Permanents that we have enter the board causing triggers are going to trigger again. And then additionally, permanents your opponents have that cause triggers, they are not going to trigger. So that's a great one to enable and disable. Again, here we do have these artifacts. We do have some of these cats in there, and then beginning to see rebels as well. Other powerful Phyrexian horrors here to boot. And then last but not least here, we still see a lot of great cards like Exile Target Non-Land Permanent, Vanish into Eternity, at Instance, a very powerful card for white. 3 more to cast if it targets a creature. So keep those things in mind. Great control for those things as well. There's that Hive card that we talked about, which is going to be beautiful. And then White Sun's Twilight, you gain X life, create X/1/1 colorless. So lots of cool things here, I think, more so for some of these control pieces that have been heavily dominated by midrange. Other great opportunities here. Now here's blue. Again, we got wizards. We got Feldekin, I believe. We have our artifacts. This one's really sweet. Blue Sun's Twilight. We get a control creature. If it's X is 5 or more, you get a token of that creature as well, which is huge. Again, great things there, potentially for control. As we continue to go down, we got Phyrexian Wizards, we got Birds, we got Advisors, we got Jace the Perfected Mind. So here's the first completed Planeswalker that we see. This guy's got mill and draw. Absolutely beautiful. Love the card, love the art. Here again, we continue. We got Artifact Vehicles. We have Mind Splice Apparatus, which is going to make it easier for you to cast your spells. Again, thinking of control decks. Mercurial Spelldancer, a fun Phyrexian rogue, can't be blocked. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on this, and then it gets to do some fun stuff like copy spells. Again, hint, hint, great for control. Here we have a new kind of counter magic spell, counter target spell with mana value 1 or less. Very, very nice here with this one. Prologue to Phyrexia, probably destroy that. Each opponent gets a poison counter and then draw a card. Interesting way to put poison counters on your opponent without actually having to deal the damage. This one's beautiful here, the Phyrexian Horror, Tekathul, Inquiry Dominus, proliferate twice, remove counters, give this guy an indestructible thing. Beautiful. Lots of other great things like this. Thrumming Bird, deal damage, proliferate. Going to be a big thing. Again, lots of artifacts. Other ones here, we got Unctus here, Phyrexian Veldekin, like the Veldekin that I said, a great one there. Artifact creatures you control get +1/+1, and a host of other things. Now we move into black. Black here, we have lots of sorceries. We got demons, Phyrexian demons. We got more insects. Black Sun's Twilight. So we had this a little bit differently here, but up to 1 target creature gets -X until end of turn, where if X is 5 or more. So we got a strap. Return a creature card with value amount X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So a huge enabler that can flip a match really, really quickly. Phyrexian Rats. So we got a lot of rats again. We got something else fun with that. We got Drivnod, Carnage Dominus, another Phyrexian horror. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Very important there for some of those sacrifice decks and mid-range red-black ones that we've had here. Rakdos Sacrifice in the past. We got our straps. Good old Duress as always. Feed the Infection. Some beautiful things here with Geth. Other creatures you control do get -1/-1. However, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains if this creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate only as a sorcery. A great way to do digs out of our graveyard or reanimate decks, those kinds of things. Here was the rat that I was talking about, the legendary creature Phyrexian Rat, Toxic 1. Other rats you control of Toxic 1. Love it. Going to be a fun commander too. So here we continue to go through a lot of these different things here. Lots of toxic, but one that I definitely want to cover, Phyrexian Obliterator. This card is so nasty. Trample, whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Boom, game over right there. We got a lot of other things. Again, advisors, warriors, we're starting to see as well. We got a Warlock, and again, continuing to see that toxic mechanic there as well. We do have Vraska as completed. Now we'll move into red. Here we got the actual all will be one. Whenever you put one or more counters on a permanent or target, all will be one. Deals that much damage to target opponent, creature, or planeswalker and control. So proliferate there again, an interesting way to do control, something to think about, and we'll keep moving. So lots of cool things here. We do see goblins and that warrior component interesting because we've had goblins as well as some key decks in best of one. We do see Hellraiser, this Phyrexian dragon. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you have 9 or more cards in your graveyard. Here we got Churning Reserve. Here, create a 1/1 Phyrexian Goblin token. Activate only if oil counter was removed. So there's an oil Goblin play there as well. Dragon Wing Glider. Here's a Firmiridan. This creature gets +2/+2, has flying and haste. So you got a 4/4 haster, which is pretty powerful. Then we got Phyrexian Goblin Warrior. I think there's one in here, this guy right here. When it deals damage, you may sacrifice it and proliferate. More warriors in there. Let's see. Hazardous Blast deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Creatures your opponents control can't block this turn as well. Here we got Hexgold Slash, a very powerful instant, deals 2 damage to target creature. If it has toxic, deals 4. Then we got good old Koth here, a pretty powerful regular planeswalker. I'm saying regular versus the completed. Then we have lots of other cool things here as well. This one's pretty big, 5 damage. It can be very, very powerful for you. Destroy target artifact equipment as well in our sealed pools as an idea. And a lot of stuff at 5, so you should be able to clear most of the stuff on the board. Here we do see affinity for equipment in here as well. This one's really powerful. Rebel Salvo, this was the one that I was really thinking of. Again, instant, deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible as well till end of turn. Huge, 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 huge there. We continue to go down. We got the Red Sun's Twilight here. If X is 5 or more, this is destroy up to X artifacts. For each artifact destroyed, so I create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste, except exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So you can wipe your opponent's board, turn around, and absolutely destroy them. Here we have Menace and Reach. We got another goblin here. Sacrifice an artifact, add an amount of mana equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value. Spend this only to cast other artifact spells or abilities or artifacts. We have a beautiful Phyrexian Horror here. If a source you control would deal non-contact damage to opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double. Huge. Discard 2 cards, put an indestructible counter on this one as well. Huge, huge, huge. Our new Torbrand, as we like to say. Then we got Thrill of Possibility. We got that Forge that we talked about earlier, and everything else. Whew. Next, we got green. Here we'll see druids, we'll see beasts. Big green creatures. We do have elves as well in here. Some pretty cool things. You may play lands from your graveyard with Conduit of Worlds. Again, we see that Reanimator kind of style there. Evolve Spinoderm. This thing's pretty powerful for 4. Comes with oil counters. You're removing oil counters and you got to sacrifice it. Other cool things here, we do have Green Sun's Twilight again. Reveal the top X +1 cards of your library. Choose a creature and or land card from them. Put them on their hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put it on the battlefield or in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. So a nice little dig. On top of this here, as we continue down, we have a very, very powerful completed Planeswalker Nissa here. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Down 7. All your creatures get +1/+1 for each forest you control and gain trample, making it, you could be a 5. Very, very end game right there, running over the top if you can get that thing to land. We have that Toxic in here as well. We got our Elf Warrior that I talked about, or Elves, a good combination there. Troll Shaman, this thing's going to be beautiful as well. A 5/5/5. 5 cast, 5 power, 5 toughness. Spell can't be counter trampler. Can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. As long as your turn also has indestructible, that thing's going to be brutal and beautiful. We also get this Phyrexian dinosaur, which is crazy. Tyrannax Rex. 8/8, another can't be countered. Trample ward 4, haste toxic Thor. Huge, 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 huge. Big, big, powerful creatures. We have venerated Rot Priest, Toxic 1. Whenever a creature you control becomes target of spells, target opponent gets a poison counter as well. So a great kind of, hey, you're going to remove my stuff, but it's going to hurt you either way. That's a big one on Drain. And then we got Legendary Creature, another Phyrexian Horror. Double the power and toughness of each creature you control till end of turn. We've seen that before in some of the other decks, but now it's absolutely big here on a creature as well. We'll move into multicolored. We got a Troxa here, Grand Unifier. This thing is beautiful. Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, everything. So much fun. I can't wait to get that card. We got other multicolored cards in the artifact space here. Additionally, these 3 drops. Very, very powerful. One down a little bit further. Get there. Great in the tribals, Elf Zombie, Human Rebel. We got Kato. We do have Kaya in here. Pretty powerful. Each opponent loses 3 life. You gain 3. This thing's got hexproof. We got a Phyrexian Beast, completed Luca. Also other pieces here again in the 3-drop slot. This one's the one I was thinking of. Miglazme's Crusher. A very, very powerful 3-drop. Enters the battlefield with 5 oil counters on it. Remove it. It gains Vigilance and Menace. Remove 2. It gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Remove 3. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. So lots of things going on with the 4/4. We do have a completed Nahiri. We have a Phyrexian Nightmare. We got a Knight, Chimera, Cleric, another flyer with a bird, and then Tyvar here in the regular Tyvar. Untap up to 1 target creature. Again, mana dorks, other things in there can be powerful. We got Venser, and all of our lovely, lovely fun. We have artifacts. This one's pretty cool. Masticore, first strike, protection from multicolored. At the beginning of your upkeep, though, sacrifice unless you discard a card. If you discard a card away, then destroy target permanent opponent controls with value mana less. Very, very powerful. I like that as well. Tons of other enablers here. This one's pretty cool. Juggernauts. Juggernauts you control each combat if able. Juggernauts you control can't be blocked. So you can do a bunch of 1/1 dorks. And then get this in, and they all become 5/3s. Huge. We got Eker Plate Golem, going to be big with the oil counters. Mirror and Safe House, this is pretty cool, is on the battlefield. It has all activated abilities of all land cards in all graveyards, something a little bit different, which is pretty interesting. And a host of other things in this space. We got another vehicle here. This one's got Toxic. We got Phyrexian Golem. This is pretty sweet. Staff of Completion. Completion. Again, pay 1 life, pay 2 life, pay 3 life, pay 4. Very powerful. 5 on tap. I can see that thing doing a lot of stuff. And then we got a new Forge and Frontier. Tablet of Completion, and then Zenith Chronicler. Now, here are all the lands. The big thing with the lands is we have these spheres. We got our tapped lands as well, and these are all allied colors. So allied colors are those being next to each other on the magic wheel. We have our facades, Murex. These are land spheres that are non-color or colorless. Terramorphic Expanse, to sacrifice, go find your land, and then tons and tons of beautiful art. Whew. So that was a lot that we went through there in terms of all will be one, all the cards. I want to go through that quickly, make a couple of comments there for you, as well as we focus on to the next piece, which really is going to be some of these things that I just talked about, really around our space. And I'll go in this kind of color, multicolor space for now, where we want to focus quickly here on sealed, as well as potentially draft. A couple of items that are going to be important are really archetypes of focus, and we covered a little bit of these. But when it comes to just this set, all will be one, you're going to want to think about white-blue artifacts, blue-black proliferate control, red-black oil counter sacrifice, red-green oil counter midrange, green-white toxic aggro as an opportunity there. White, black, corrupted, blue, red, oil counter, Spellslinger. So again, some of that control stuff that I talked about. Black, green, you can go poison. We also got reanimate in there. Red, white equipment, and rebel and those kinds of fun things. And then green, blue, poison, proliferate. So really thinking about the two color schema is going to be the best chance of success. That's always a big one there to consider. And again, all these different cards here, good tips, always making sure you're building your curve properly. All those things are going to be what's important for you as you succeed in sealed and as well in draft. So those are always some key tips and tricks that I want to add in there. Next, let's go over to Untapped. So just quickly here, this is the snapshot for what we face. Let me do this here quickly. For what we face in our Friday Night Meta Weekly Series, if you follow that. Pretty important, great way to stay up to date on things. But one of the stuff that I want to do quickly here is just show you the snapshot for best of one. As you can see, Azora Soldiers, mono red burn, mono red aggro, mono black control. And then as we move into best of three, mono black mid-range, newer one there, Esper Legends, really the Esper mid-range stuff. I think we're going to see a big impact fairly quickly here for best of three. Again, we got some really, really tight pairings in terms of some of the stuff that I just covered there for sealed and draft. I think that will definitely make its way over here. There's some great control cards that may open things up. You can also see pretty heavily that green is missing from this. I think green might have a good opportunity to come back into our best of three format, particularly with the stuff that can't be countered, or you know, our good old green-blue pairing, Simic pairing, those kinds of things is something a little bit different as well. We may see, again, a little bit trending away from the 3 to the 2 color, something else that could happen there. And then the sacrifice decks, a little bit could change up. Now we do have Angels, more support. We got Phyrexian, that's something else. In best of one, we may move away from a lot of the single colors, even though that has been pretty heavy for quite some time and is pretty standard for best of one, more aggro heavy. However, we may see some of those things change. We did get a couple interesting powerful soldiers with double strike and a few other things there. We may see some of the sacrifice stuff coming back in with the double triggers, other abilities there as well. And again, poison decks and some of those things that we previously described. So I think all those things may have some great potential here for us as we move into Phyrexia All Will Be One. So with that, Planeswalkers, let's go all the way back here to the top and bring this thing home. As always, thank you for taking the time with me. Really, really appreciate it today. I wanted to really break these things down for you to give you some key highlights. We broke down the mechanics. We went through all the cards. We talked about some of the key draft archetypes as well as sealed that you can keep in mind, how some of that might carry over into standard. We took a quick look at standard best of one and best of three for you today, giving you some ideas on how some of the stuff could impact, again, carrying over from those archetypes from sealed and draft into the new standard meta that I'm excited to share as always. Please feel free to ask questions. Please feel free to drop comments and come swing by the Discord server as well. Now, with that, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed today's release guide for Phyrexia All Will Be One. Appreciate the likes, appreciate the subs. Thank you for all the additional support to the members and everyone else. Great ways to stay in touch as we continue to produce content for you, as always, here on the channel. Lots of stuff coming your way, Planeswalkers. We'll see you again soon. Until next time, Mythras out.